Hello everybody, my name's Noah and welcome back to the InlineJDM YouTube channel. Today I am going to be, it's probably kind of bright, hold on, let me get a better background here. Today I'm just going to be kind of detailing you a few things about my car or about the Mark III and how I got it, how I found it, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of give you the history between now and back in March of 2017. So I ended up with my first car that I learned to drive in was an '87 Honda Civic DX hatchback, 3-door. And that was a 5-speed, loved that car. However, only 76 horsepower. So, while it was incredibly light, it was also incredibly fun. And that was the first car I learned to drive. Or at least by myself anyway. Before then I had driven previous vehicles when I was younger. Had my dad's 90s Dakota that he would let me drive out in the county roads. I would sit on his lap and he'd work the pedals, and then I would just sit up and steer. And but yeah, that's how I started driving. And then the timing belt snapped on that engine in the Civic, and it was a 4-cylinder interference. So dented one of the cylinders and ended up messing up 2 of the valves, and we just didn't want to use the resources and have the money, didn't want to use the money to pay for it to fix it, because it would have been far more than the car was worth. So we decided to just find something else. So I have to, now that I don't have a vehicle, either my parents have to drive me to school, because they lived out in the country, or I had to get a ride from one of my friends who was one of my neighbors. So I did that with him for probably about a week, and then I get home one day from school, and my dad's got a white 2000 Toyota Avalon sitting in the driveway. And I get out, and he's like, "What's this?" And then he proceeds to describe to me that this is my new car that I will be using, or be able to use for school, and take to school and a job and whatever else I need to use it for. So it's like, awesome, cool. So I start driving it, and I'm immediately starting to miss the fact that it's a manual. I hated it. Or, I mean, I didn't hate the car, I just hated that it wasn't a manual. I had always been told that manuals were better on gas mileage and stuff. However, I know that with the more recent technology and transmissions, that's not necessarily the case now. But back then, you know, it was obviously you gained a mile per gallon here or there, just in fuel economy, because it was a manual. However, that want of wanting to have a manual again was just eating me alive. So my senior year of high school, I decided to, this was just after winter break, school had just started back up for the second semester, and I had decided to start looking on AutoTrader for a car. And I looked around, didn't really know what I wanted exactly, so I didn't really do a whole lot of looking. But then I ended up ended up finding a YouTube video from that dude in blue on his Mark III Supra that he was reviewing at the time. It was about the same color as this one. It was an 88, I believe, 87, one of the two. Mostly complete stock. I think it just had a intake filter and maybe one other mod that made it just a slight bit faster than stock. And I had watched that video, and I liked the look of them. However, I wasn't too fond of the straight grille that went across the front. It was not, to me, it didn't look aggressive enough to be a sports car. So what I did instead was I saw the video, and then I looked at pictures to find out, okay, what are these cars, is there any other variation of these cars that might look a little better? And that's when I found the 89 to 92 body style with the little bit of a perforation right here, the separation here in the front grille. And I liked that look a lot better, added a whole different look to the car, because then it actually accentuated the hood, the body lines here on the hood, and I just loved the way that it looked. So then I took that and started looking on AutoTrader. Keep in mind, this is about the first week or two of January, and I had actually found this car up for sale. At the time, they were asking a dollar under 10 grand, so $9,999 for this car. Original miles. The only thing that had been changed was the wheels, which I actually do have, and I can show you a picture of those. I'd still have the original wheels that came on this car, or the original rims, I guess I should say. An aftermarket radio, and a couple of the interior marks, which I think you guys probably saw in my last video if you watched all of it. But, so I'm looking for the car, I see it, I find it, see the price, it's like, that's out of my budget. I'm gonna save this for later and try to see if it'll come down. Hopefully it doesn't sell. Another month goes by, and I decide to check it again. Still have it up on AutoTrader. They've dropped it now by $1,000, so it's now a dollar under 9 grand. And I had watched it again in the beginning of March, and they'd still had it. Now it's a dollar under 8 grand. So I decide to finally convince my dad to help me get a loan for the car. We went through his local credit union, and the best deal we could get on it for the loan, as far as rate-wise, percentage-wise, it was lowest if we went through his account, and I was a co-signer on it, or he co-signed on me, but the money was just automatically the money was automatically just deposited out of his account, or withdrawn out of his account, excuse me, every month for the car payment. So now the way we have this set up is I just give him a check for the amount that I pay him every month, like $120, and then he just puts that back into his account, and it covers what it takes off for the loan. So we get the loan, I'm at work, and we need to get this loan before the bank closes, because we're going to go hopefully look at it the coming weekend. So I am at work, I'm on break, I'm on my lunch break. I bring my phone, or take my phone out, and he sends me a text saying, here's some paperwork, just e-sign it, and we will get everything squared away. You'll have everything that you need, and we can go and look at this car. So I sign the paperwork electronically and email it back to the lady at the bank, and he sends me a text back after I get off work and says that we got the loan. Money should be in my account by tomorrow morning. So we go and look at the car, drive up to, I didn't tell you where it was at. Pierre, South Dakota. And I'm in the Omaha area, so it's about 3-hour drive, I think. 3-4 hour drive up there. So we get up to Pierre, we get this car, walk into the dealership, don't see it anywhere. Actually ask one of the sales guys, Edwin, and he tells us that they're actually just finishing up detailing the car for our arrival to look at it. So we go back into their service center and look at the garage, and they open the garage door, and there is this car. And I actually have a video of that car while the guys are still detailing it, and I'll probably put that clip right about here.
And he's your son? You're his grandfather?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So, it looked completely spotless. I went through, nitpicked the whole car, got taken out on a test drive, you know. My dad kind of knows a little bit about noises that cars that are rear-wheel drive especially make, especially cars with two-piece drive shafts like this car. So we found out after going through a test drive that we needed to replace the hanger bearing, and I think there was one other thing, but it wasn't really all that major, so it really wasn't a whole big deal. But we were able to talk the guy down quite a bit. We talked him down over $1,000, so I ended up walking out with this car, and I couldn't be happier. Ended up getting the car, and we just headed back home after that. Drove back home. My grandpa rode with me, and my dad rode in his truck, and it's been history ever since. It's been a great car, and I rolled off the dealership lot after handing guy the check for the money, and it had 60,217 miles, original miles on the clock. And I can't believe this. I can't believe it. I still can't believe it. It's a great story. I looked at the Carfax before going up there and decided to screenshot pictures of it so I would have the whole thing to look at later. I wouldn't have to redo, a little windy, wouldn't have to redo the Carfax and keep pulling it up every time and waste however many free ones we had for that year, because my dad does have an account with Carfax. We like to purchase vehicles every now and then. But yeah, I had kept pictures. It was originally purchased out in Wyoming, and it just is incredible, completely incredible. The amount of owners this car went through. I'm guessing it was a guy that had purchased it new and had kids and just kind of passed it down to his kids, because it traded hands in that small town or wherever in Wyoming several times. So I'm assuming it was kids or just people that had seen the car, liked the car, and saw it for sale and decided to pick it up for themselves. But I am the 7th or 8th owner of this car. I can tell it was garage kept its whole life. We put it up on a lift at the dealership before we bought it and saw that there was no rust. I believe I'll have to ask my dad what city we found the rims in, but they were completely separated from the actual car itself, and my grandpa had seen him and actually has them and brought them down to us when he came down for a Cornhusker game in Lincoln, because he lives out in Shadron, so he brought them down to us because I guess it was fairly close to him, so he picked them up for us and brought them down, and they had brand new tires on them, still do, and it's just been a awesome, amazing ride for this car. I couldn't be happier. Granted, it does look a little dirty right now because the streets here are wet. It's about 50 out right now, so the ice and snow is still melting. Back here at the same spot from my last video. But here you go, better side. When this thing's cleaned up, I have a couple pictures of it I'll probably throw up on the screen right now, just showing exactly how clean this car looks and how shiny it is. And there are a couple things that I want to have cleaned up. I think there's a blemish somewhere over here on the bumper, on one of the corners. As you can see, there's some scratches here on the rear wing. Definitely over here. I thought there was a more major one. Maybe not. That's a scratch. Scratches here. This whole wing here separates from the body. I need to get that fixed. There is no antenna. It's broke. And that's actually the pop-up part. So I just took the little black cap off the top of the antenna, I guess, and just jammed it in there to keep water out. But, I mean, this car is amazing. I could not at all be happier with it. I mean, granted, yes, some more minor body work here. The paint here, I'm not quite sure what that is, just peeling up. I've got a dent, small dent right in through here somewhere, and then I believe on the driver's side over here I got a little bit of a door ding. And yep, right here. A little bit of a door ding to where someone hit me. Or maybe that was there when we bought the car and I just haven't noticed. When this is all clean, when this car is all clean, down here is all, you can see it's all scratched up from driving over rocks and stuff, but like on a gravel road. But other than that, I plan on having this car fully, probably repainted at some point, just to make it immaculate and pristine again, you know, to where it's show quality. And then I will end up probably doing something else with it and bumping up the horsepower quite a bit, as I mentioned in my last video, making it a little bit more fun. And just an overall great weekend car. I honestly could not be any more grateful to the guys at Pier Lincoln Ford Toyota. Salespeople there were great. It's just, they did a great job of marketing this car to me. I still to this day have no idea why this car sat for so long on their lot. I just wish that, there it is, Gateway. That's where I got it. Hopefully I'll probably be taking that off at some point and removing it, but other than that, it runs great. It's everything that I ever wanted it to be, and I still to this day have no idea why this car was not scooped up sooner. It is, for a 31-year-old car, it is immaculate shape. Probably one of the best examples of a Mark III that I have ever seen. And I've only seen a few of them here within about 100 miles of me or so, but still, I just can't believe how much car you get for the amount of money that I paid for it, and I have had so much fun with this car. It's just an overall great weekend car. So I highly recommend, if you guys are ever looking for a really solid car, you need to find yourself a really good example of a Mark III. Whether you like automatic or manual, these cars are going to be going up at some point. And I need a little air. These cars are going to be going up if they're not already. So you need to find a clean, if you want to have an investment, clean Mark III is what you want to do. However, if you just want a fun weekend car to build, have a really nice example of, and to build up, have a good DIY project for yourself, again, I recommend getting a semi-clean Mark III that does need a little bit of work. The 7M, yes, does have issues. However, they can be fixed with aftermarket parts. Believe it or not, aftermarket parts of these cars are still very readily available despite their age. And I guess that's why they're going up. There's just a underground market for these cars that nobody really cares about or knows about, but those who do, it's incredible. I have gotten so much support from the Mark III community, especially with this car. I've taken it to car shows, not ever won anything, but I don't really care. I just like the fact that it's, for those few people that do know what it is and how rare it is to see a super clean example with so few miles. It's just incredible. The very few people that do care, it just makes your day, you know. I mean, even driving around town every now and then, you'll catch a glimpse of somebody looking and be like, "Oh, what kind of a car is that?" Or, "Whoa, it's a Supra." It never fails. It never does. Never gets old either. I will tell you that right now. It is probably one of the greatest feelings to have somebody look at your car and admire it the same way that you do, you know? It's just... Mark III ownership really has changed my life, and I really, really think that I will have this car for the rest of my life. I never plan to get rid of it. Right now I'm actually doing pretty good with finances and stuff, despite having 2 cars. The daily and this, and once I get the loan paid off, then I don't have to have full coverage on it anymore, nor do I have to keep it insured throughout the entire year. I can take it off in the wintertime when I'm not using it, and then re-put it on throughout the spring, and then through the end of the summer and down into the fall, and then park it again for the winter, and so on and so on. So I can just have full coverage on it while I am driving it and not have to pay for it while it's parked. So, with that being said, guys, my name is Noah. Thank you for watching. Click that like button down below, leave a comment, and if you like these type of videos, please hit that subscribe button. Let me know any questions you guys have. Drop them down in the comments. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you all later. Peace out.